and welcome to this week's Damp Show with me, Dampsam, the most down-to-earth, qualified, straight-talking, northern, ugly, old, whatever you want to call me, because I've been called a few in comments. So today, you lovely, lovely viewers have been sending your clips in and sending your videos in and asking me to do a reaction video and comment on these videos, and I've picked this one because it's his old friend Roger Frisbee. He's back again. Yeah, you throw him away and he comes back. Stephen Adams has sent this video in and he said to me, Sam, will you have a look at this video and comment on it, because the title says what it does on the tin. So it says, Roger is stumped by this tricky problem. Can you help? So let's get straight into it. Let's see what Roger's problem is and see if Dampsam can help. Yeah.
Oh, so Ryan, you've got a problem with some damp. You sent me a photograph.
So, bay window, as you can see.
Yeah.
We used to have, just in here, a curved radiator that matched the bay window.
I know.
We've lived at this house for about 2 years, a bit closer, and this is...
First thing I can see, I'll just, from a surveyor's perspective, just looking at this wall and looking at the video. So he's got a dark area at the bottom, and he's got some big holes there where I'm guessing that joists run into them holes. And this is a timber suspended floor with floorboards on top and a flooring on top of that, and looks like probably a 1930s built house, 1920s, 1930s built house with a bay window. Suspended floor, probably got an earth oversight. And the first thing that springs to mind, being an experienced surveyor, is you've got cold air coming up because there'll be some subfloor vents. You've got cold air coming up and it's going to come up through them holes and create a cold spot. So if it's been like that for a while, any moisture in property is going to form around them holes because they're the coldest spots. So that's the first thing that I've seen as an experienced, qualified surveyor. Average surveyor at best.
North side of the house, it's very cold. You can tell from outside. Yeah. Very shaded.
Just another thing, if it's north side of house, you get pressures, so wind and things like that from outside. You get pressures, and that'll move moisture towards back end of the house, and it doesn't see as much sun either, so it's going to be colder as well.
And rest of it, so it doesn't get much sun. This particular bit here, the radiator wasn't getting warm at all. We have got a log burner in, but this wasn't getting warm at all.
Thing that you got to know about log burners and when you're burning wood, most people will just throw it on fire. So if it's got moisture in it, it's going to create a lot of moisture in your air. It doesn't just heat up and burn and go up your chimney. It will that water vapour will come into your property.
You could hold your hands up. I've got kids and they could literally, it wasn't hot. So the plan was to get rid of that radiator, and for cost reasons, we said, oh, we'll just have it relocated with a normal, more efficient radiator, which is that one. The only problem is, the reason for this being bad in the first place was microbore piping. So having taken the radiator off, we noticed damp on the plaster here. And I've actually drawn a line. You can see a short line. So
again, I'm listening to what he's saying, and he's saying joists are a bit damp. But he's mentioned that there's a bit of mould in corner. So he's already stripped that plaster off, so we can't see what we're going off on plaster. If you're going to get a surveyor around, leave your plaster on, don't take it off. And he said we've got some mould in corner. So straight again, you're thinking condensation. It forms in corners to do with air circulation. So that's what's going through my mind.
I know it's got a damp-proof course because I've seen the slate through these gaps here.
It's got a slate damp-proof course. That's a good thing.
So if it's got a slate damp-proof course that's incorporated into the brick, that's what we call a physical damp-proof course. When you drill and inject a damp-proof course, it's called a retrofit chemical damp-proof course. So there's two different types.
Is it possible for us to go outside or not?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, no. That's what I believe is the damp course.
Yeah.
You can almost see the damp up to it. Got an air brick there.
So air bricks are well above ground level. So you can see that sort of his ground level's there.
So from when I did a video kind of under the floor, I think there's like ducting kind of pipe work, you know, that connects the air then back to the living room, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they used to do that.
From where? Sorry, where's that ducting go from?
Are you watching, Roger? There's a fucking air brick there. You're blind, man. I know you've got glasses on like me, but fucking hell.
Yeah.
Under the floor into the living room. Because this
Get your fingers out your fucking mouth, dirty bastard.
The left-hand side, that's solid floor.
You know where they've been.
The timber floor.
Yeah, so they've done a good job there. So you've got no air bricks around the front under that.
I've got one there.
Yeah.
Like you said before.
One there.
Oh, there is one there. Show me.
I told you that before. You need to go a bit slow, Rog.
Ah, there it is. Show me
now.
a picture of your underfloor.
It had like almost like the water droplets.
That's right. That is a problem. Where did you take that photograph from?
I literally got my phone on video and popped it under the floor.
So what have we got at the back of the house? We've got that room.
Back of the house. This is the.
So what we're looking at there? You've got droplets of condensation, droplets of water forming underneath the underside floorboards and joists, which tells us there's a lot of condensation in there. So you've probably got an earth oversight, which is continually, you're going to have water vapour continually sort of coming up. And if you've got cold air coming in, that's going to be a cold surface, so you get condensation forming on there. Now, I don't know what time of year it is this when he's took this video, but we have had sort of some really, really hot summers. So if you've got a lot of, if it's very humid down there and it turns it into a tropical environment, there is a chance that dry rot could start to germinate if the conditions are right. So that's what you've got to be careful of. So you need plenty of air circulating inside the subfloor. But what might be happening is there might be a lot of moisture in the ground for some reason. So the first thing that, like, I'm thinking straight away, you need to maybe get a drain survey done. Make sure that there's no broken drains around the perimeter of your property, and make sure that there's no excess water going down, because that could add to the humidity levels inside your subfloor as well.
Point to where you think the slate damp-proof course is, just below. Yeah.
There.
You can see that indoors, that slate damp-proof course.
Yes.
And that slate damp-proof course is just under the timber plate. So
yeah.
So you've got on. So if we just imagine.
It sounds like Roger. What's going through Roger's mind is, and I've seen a lot of his videos, and first thing that he's looking for, and things that Roger tends to be obsessed about, is rising damp. So I can see what he's thinking. He's thinking, is the rising damp coming up through there? Is the slate brock? Is it ground salts that's coming up? And first thing, being a damp surveyor, first thing I look at is condensation and ventilation and see whether it's adequate. I can tell, you'd be able to tell straight away if it were rising damp, because you'd see it salts and salt band and stuff like that. And patterns of damp are a lot different.
That is months away from being dry rot there. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
Not so much months away from being dry rot, Roger. Conditions away from being dry rot, if the conditions are right. So if you've got cold air going into that subfloor, then you're not going to get dry rot. If you've got warm air and it's over a certain humidity, then the conditions would be right for dry rot, and then you start worrying. So how that could happen, again, if we have one of these tropical hot summers, that's when dry rot could germinate and start to form.
It's not good at all. is that you've got some fantastic air bricks in there, but they're not going anywhere. You know, in other words, the back of the house has got that extension.
There's no cross flow, he's saying, I think.
There's no ducting under that. So I'm just wondering whether the air is capable of pulling through from the front. Where would it then go to? You know, it would. If you've got 2 air bricks at the front, that's fine, but you need some kind of differential pressure. You need a draft gun.
Just as a point, air bricks need to be, according to building regulations, a minimum of 1.8 meters apart. So I'm just trying to think that measurement from that air brick on left to the air brick on right. It might be just over 1.8 meters. So you could possibly put one in middle at bay, and what I'd do as well, I'd be looking to put one. There's one on side, so you've got a bit of cross flow there, and then I'd try and get one other side at chimney stack, which there could be one there. So then you'd get a bit of air circulating in there.
Well, I can see the floorboards here.
Yeah, well that's okay.
Not just there.
Yeah, so it's straight down on the boards probably. But it's keeping the moisture. You know, it's so wet under there, that moisture's got to get out somewhere, and I just don't know. And you got a dehumidifier going there, and that's collected a bit for you.
Yeah, it does the job, but it's one of them things you don't know how long to run it for, because is it just managing it, or is it, if it was curing it and getting rid of it, you'd have it running, but if it's just like a little top up and then it goes back to original, it's a bit of a waste, really. Yeah.
But that's how dehumidifiers work. It's not going to fix a problem. It like you said before, it's going to manage it. So unless you actually sort out the ventilation adequately, you will always have a problem. But saying that, if that house were as dry as out, you know what I mean, it'd still be emptying it a couple of times a day, just because there's that much. That's how much moisture's in a normal environment.
You see, you normally wouldn't get rising damp like that.
Easier.
If you've got slate damp-proof courses, not a lot happens with slate damp-proof courses.
Yeah.
We'll talk about failing, but they never usually fail to any appreciable extent.
I'll agree.
You've got so much air there. I just want to see where that air brick goes under the floor. And I tell you what, if you could shine a light,
it's almost like a condensation thing.
Yeah.
Because at night time, these bricks look like literally running down the inside. You can see a good piece of slate there, actually.
Yeah, that's good.
That's because it's moisture from inside subfloor, water vapour is condensing on them, on that skin, because it's colder. Because inside that outer skin is colder, so condensation will just form straight away there and then just run down wall. That's what he's seeing.
So you've got all that moisture coming up from under the ground there. What they do now, if you were starting with a suspended floor now, you'd put some kind of concrete on the ground before you start.
An oversight. It's a concrete oversight. That's what you'd put on. And at minute, he's not got an oversight on.
Some kind of membrane, or just a membrane on the ground to stop a lot of the ground moisture coming up through the house, if you like. And then you still ventilate the underside of the floor. But by putting the polythene down, you would be cutting down the amount of moisture that's evaporating from the ground up.
We've just done a job exactly the same as that. The guy, he took the floor up, and we took all joists out. But what we did is we raised, because he were getting standing water in his subfloor, which this could be happening. They might have a high water table, so at certain times of the year, water might come up and be standing in that subfloor. That's what I'd be suspecting. And if you've got standing water, it's continually evaporating. It's just a tropical environment. So what you need to do, you need to reduce it. So the groundwater only goes to a certain height at certain times of year. This is this job that we did in Donny. And so we put some hardcore down and raised the subfloor ground level by about 300 mil. And then we put a visqueen membrane over the top, weighted it down. just to suppress that water vapor and keep it limited. But then also we put because we wanted the air in the subfloor to circulate. You want that's what basically you want. You want air to be coming in and air to be going out. So we installed a Mori weatherproof multifunctional subfloor ventilation fan. So they do make them, and we install these a lot, and these are brilliant. So this is what he could put in there, but I just think he needs to try and get a membrane down just to to keep them that water level or that water vapor level reduced even more, and definitely needs to have a drain survey carried out and make sure that none of them's cracked, because of a feeling there's some other going off.
Black paint. What is that? Is that a bitumen?
I've no idea, to be honest. It was done when we came, to be honest. So I'm not.
I just wondered if they'd had a damp problem and thought they could solve it by putting. Yeah. It doesn't look that bad, actually.
If you have a damp problem, you'll well solve it. Check out my work while my DJ revolves it.
It's just
ice, baby. Damp, baby.
Do you know what, mate? I really want to see the underside of that floor a bit better. If you can't do it, if you could get somebody to take it, you don't really want to take out that air brick, do you? Because it's quite a nice air brick. But if you can get one piece, or a similar one.
That is a problem that we come across, because it absolutely kills me to change these lovely air bricks that's been made of clay into plastic ones. But your Superfloor plastic ones allow a greater volume of air to go into your subfloor than a lot of your clay ones. And we recommend these plastic ones so we can get more air going into the subfloor. But when we have to take these lovely clay ones out, sometimes we have to smash them to bits. And again, it's like somebody stabbing me, because I love architecture, old architecture and salvage. And if we ever had to break these air bricks, it just seems such a shame.
For lack of pressure on this radiator, could it be almost leak? Because the pipe does go under this floor. Could that be leaking? But I thought that would have dropped the boiler pressure.
Yeah, it wouldn't be leaking to that extent. There's a build-up of moisture under that floor. And like you say, you don't want to rip up that floor, but unless you can get some serious ventilation under there to clear that, and again, what normally you get is a front to back, so where they put that extension,
going all the way through.
Yeah, they've covered over an air brick there, and if they haven't put any ducting, under the solid floor to the back, then it's kind of cut the cross flow down. But somehow or another, you need some ventilation under that floor, and it's not something, I don't want to alarm you, but it's not something you want to, take your time over, because it's just building up under there. And as I say, I've seen so many cases where the dry rot has got a hold, and then, like you say, the whole lot has to come out.
I won't be worried about dry rot as such imminently, but what he needs to be worried about is wood-boring insects, wet rots. So that's at this point in time, unless the conditions then change to kind of subtropical or tropical, and then you've got to be worried about dry rot, because it only takes a couple of these spores to land on a piece of damp timber, and them conditions to be right, and off it goes. And because it's dark, warm, humid, them at conditions that's ideal. But the wet rots can cause a lot of problem, and so can the wood-boring insects, depending on what he gets. And if he's in what they call place Camberley, is it? There's one area in England, and they get one type of wood-boring insect, and I'm going to see if I can get this right off the top of my head. Longhorn. go on, long on. Right, I was just going to say long on. I ain't got my book on me. So, yeah, it was a long on wood boring insect, some kind of thing. They can just devastate your house, and they're a nightmare. They are an absolute nightmare.
I've looked online at all these damp people and stuff, and some...
Have you looked at me? Have you had Dampsam on? Fucking hell!
300 quid and 500 quid to come.
And fucking rest, mate. If you want me to come, it's going to be a lot more than that, pal.
And some are free. Obviously...
Yeah, don't be getting anybody that's free. You know if they're free, they're adding it on end. That's what I'll tell you. And they're probably not fucking qualified anyway. You want somebody who's qualified, who knows what they're on with. Somebody who watches videos, watches Roger Frisbee.
They're just going to try and sell me at World, aren't they? You know?
Well, I don't know. They might try and sell you at World. They're working for a company. They've got to earn a living, haven't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing they'd say is, oh, we'll go around and we'll chemically inject everything, and then we'll put a waterproof render around the inside of the bay. And then...
You fucking know, Roger. He knows. This is what they do. So, qualified surveyors, as opposed to unqualified surveyors going and looking at a job. So, unqualified surveyors, who said they're surveyors, who's got to get work for the company, tend to go in, and you've got to knock everything off, 1 metre 20 high, because they treat everything as rising damp. They might not say it's rising damp, but they treat everything as a rising damp issue and think that they have to knock everything off and then do it. What you want is somebody who can identify the different types of dampness and put a system, diagnose it, and then put a system in place to repair it. A system of repair suitable for that type of dampness, and that's what you want. Do you know what I mean? And I know I bang on about it a lot, but if you get a surveyor from PCA who's been qualified through PCA, and usually if they're a member at PCA, they're they're going to adhere to the PCA code of conduct. Now I know quite a few that fucking don't, because I've had a few trolls myself from members, but generally 99% of the people in the PCA and members of the PCA will do a sterling job, and I'd say the percentage of unqualified surveyors that's coming to people's properties is a lot higher that won't do a good job. So that's a chance you take in it. I mean, some people get away with it and are happy with it, and some people are not.
It's just one of them things, isn't it? You know, if it was a case of someone said to me, right, have this floor up and we can solve it and that's it.
I'm glad this cunt haven't fucking rung me up. I'll be here all day. You know what I mean? Time's money, mate. Time's money. Fucking Roger's there, sat there. He's losing will to live. No wonder he weren't focusing right. I've been on wine last night. Old Rog. He's wanted to, football's on in half an hour. Sunday as well. It's a fucking Sunday. He's thinking, fucking hell, hurry up. I've only been guessing anyway. I don't know how to help you. Drill a pipe in back. Put that in. There you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yes, lad. I'm here all night.
Like you said, it's the root of the moisture that's the thing. I thought, I'm no builder, and I can't fathom how.
I'll tell you what, though.
Give Dampsam a ring.
Funny you say you're no builder, but because you're a...
You've got more of a fucking... you've got more of a clue than me. Old Roger's saying his body language is... He just wants to go to bed. Look at him. Pull that duvet over. I bet he's got a pillow down there. He's going to go straight to sleep when he's finished this call.
Greenkeeper.
We drink.
You know what goes on with moisture, and you know how it hangs in the ground, and you know about drainage and all the rest of it. And I think some of that knowledge, some of that skill is probably a lot more useful than you think. You know, in this particular case, if you've dug the trench around us.
Roger, what you need to say to him is this: get a fucking drain survey. This guy's making me interrupt. Get a drain survey. Carry out a drain survey of all your gullies around your property and just see if any of them are broke. Because I have a feeling that water's going into the ground. And if they're all okay, that rules one thing out, doesn't it? So that's what I'd say anyway. But obviously Roger's here for fucking sleep here.
Aside, and you've watched what happens to the moisture.
I only did that. I started digging the trench yesterday, so I'm not expecting it to be bone dry today. But how long would you roughly say to notice a difference, like on outside? You know, do you think I'd?
Well, you can.
What, by digging a fucking trench, mate? It's gonna fill up with water. As soon as it rains, it's gonna fill up with water, and then that allows water to just go under subfloor. Fucking hell.
See what's happening to the moisture. Then you can see, you know, if it rains and that trench fills up and it just doesn't drain away, then you kind of.
Oh, arms are crossed. Bad body language. He don't want to be there, does he, Rog? Arms have got crossed. He's thinking, will you just fucking put the phone down and fuck off?
And I've got air bricks under the floor, and I go under there. I've got a good crawl space under there. I'm amazed at how dry it can be. Actually.
I bet every time he goes under, I bet she's tempted to fucking screw fucking hatch back down.
I think,
Barbara? It seems to have shook Barbara. I'll have a guess and see if I can guess how to open it.
This is amazing, really, that it's that dry, you know. But that's because there's good ventilation, and the ventilation is from one side to the other. It seems to work, but you know, if you haven't got the airflow, you know, it's just dead air under there, which is the baffling bit. As I say, you've got more air bricks than almost anywhere else I've seen. You know,
he's got 4, Roger, and possibly one outside. That's 5. And they're less than 1 every 1.8 meters, which is required by building regulations. I think you're lying a bit there. I think you've probably seen more air bricks than 5.
no, it's
Right.
you've definitely got
Making
plenty of
shit
air,
jokes up
you know,
now,
in terms
Rog.
of surface area, but it's just the positioning of them, which is a bit baffling. Have a dig, get the hole opened up, and see what's going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you ringing, Roger. I do.
All right, mate. Have a good Sunday. Enjoy yourself.
I'm off to get a fucking wine. Look at him. He's clapping his hands and lot. Get that bottle of wine up and Barbara! I tell you what's good. Look, he's a great smile on his face now. Oh, Rogers, he think, thank fuck for that last call at day. I'm getting on it. Football's on. Feet up. I think, well, I'll give you my synopsis, diagnosis, whatever. So this is what he needs to do. If he's not going to go under subfloor, so you can either do like what we did on that job in Donny, and Guy took floor up himself, but he might not want that disruption. So you can either take all floor up, look to see whether you have to raise it. So you'd have a look at subfloor. You'd be able to tell whether there's been any pooling water in that earth, in that clay. You'll be able to tell because it when it dries out, it leaves like cracks in earth. So it'll fill up and pool in that area. When it dries out, it leaves some like cracks. So you'd be able to easily tell whether it's been pooling. So if he's done that, you can raise floor level up slightly, 300 mil or whatever, with some hardcore, and then put a membrane up at top, which will reduce the amount of evaporation of moisture from the subfloor. And then what you can do is, if you can either do it that way and take it up, and then put one of these Mori multifunctional subfloor ventilation fans. You can install one of them, which you need a bit of ducting to get it in there, semi-rigid ducting. Put some holes in it as well. Or you can have a go at trying to get a piece of ducting in through one of air bricks and then fitting one on outside. But like he said, you need a lot more ventilation. But the first thing that I'd advise is to get a drain survey done and to look at all your guttering and downpipes and make sure nothing's leaking and making that ground wetter when it rains. And that's basically it. So make sure you get an inspection done. I'd probably want to take a closer look at them underside of them floorboards, just because if they've been wet for a long period of time, wood-borne insects could have started you know, gnawing at them and living in there and doing the cycle. So that'd be another reason why I'd want to get under subfloor. But you kind of put all this in a report for him. So if he'd have been asked to pay for a survey, because obviously Tight Harry, he didn't want to be paying all that money to some damp person online. You're right. He didn't want to be paying any money out. So I'll ring Roger Frisbee up and and spoil his Sunday and get him to give me more questions than answers about it. And then I can go to my builder mate and guess, and he can dig another trench right outside. So and still not get to the bottom of it. So this is what he needs to do. I mean, them and my thoughts on it. We are a site visit. I'd recommend that he pays Tight Harry, put your hand in your pocket, instruct a competent, qualified damp specialist surveyor to do your report and have a look at it. And you might have to get an access into your subfloor for him to have a look at, because as Roger said when he weren't guessing, there's some wet rot under there, and if the conditions change, which were my words, then and to tropical, then there is a chance that dry rot could start forming. So this is what you need to do. You need to get under there. So them are my thoughts. I'm going to carry on doing these videos, all your trolls, and we've got a few. Keep your comments coming. For them that enjoyed it, thumbs up. And for them that don't, I couldn't give a shit. We're going to keep on doing them because we enjoy doing them and we think other people like them. So put your comments in box, and if you want to troll me, I don't care. See you later, alligator. Bye-bye now.